Hello, everybody. I think it's time to get started. Welcome. It's Friday, and today is Coffee with Clients. We just really are so excited about this today. And today is we do coffee with clients for a tool to use with our coaches and our clients, to just give you a little bit more in depth about the Habits of Health Transformation System. It's not an Optavia sponsored Zoom call. It's not to replace your coach. This is just a tool and a resource to use so that you can maybe come up with some more information and some more questions to reach back out to your coach. So I'm going to introduce myself. I am Julie Reynolds. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And I want to introduce first, we also have a YouTube page. So today is element 24. So there's 23 other elements that we did before this. So Emily's going to throw up the QR code and the link and stuff. This is the page that we have of all the other elements that we have done. So go back and check those out as you have time. They're recorded and put on there for your help and for your information. So go check out that YouTube page. I have a co-host today, and her name is Sarah. And Sarah is joining us from her vacation. Can you believe it? So I want her to come off mute and just greet you guys real quick.
Hey everybody, I'm so pumped to be on here co-hosting. I'm a little bit nervous. I am 6.5, almost 7 weeks in. I'm down 30 pounds. Just feel like completely, I don't know if there's words to even describe it. But we're gonna be hopping into element 24, which is kind of meaty and awesome. So I'm just as excited.
I love that. I love that. And, nobody on here needs to be nervous. We're all just friends hanging out. And that's how I like to approach these coffee with clients is we're just relaxed. We're chilled. We're here to just kind of share some information and hang out with friends. Be a success and you're going to feel in control. And that's kind of one of the things that we're going to be talking about today in element 24. So in element 24, if you guys have your book, if you read The Element, the title is a little bit intimidating, right? Element 24, The Journey to Higher Consciousness. So I just want to put you guys at ease. This is not like, it's not that intense. If we look up what the word consciousness means, it's really just awareness. It can be any number of words, where your headspace is, what you're thinking, your thoughts, just your awareness. So let's not think of it as these huge terms or all of these different names and levels and things, even though we are going to go through all of those. Dr. Anderson himself even said they're arbitrary. It's not really the point of the terms and the names. It's just understanding and being aware of where our thoughts are and how we can move through those to help our well-being. So I just want to introduce this chapter a little bit. It says, as you develop emotional coherence, you are aiding the keystones to which all adult psychological maturity is based. This skill set puts you firmly in the driver's seat of life. It puts you in control and really sets the stage for all future growth. Your level of awareness and self-awareness will continue to expand as you become the better version of yourself. So we're really just talking about understanding our emotions, where we're at, where our thought processes are, our self-talk, our emotions, those kind of things, and becoming aware of those and understanding how to control them, because we are in control of our thoughts and our emotions and not letting them run us wild, and being able to use that to help create well-being in our lives. Dr. Anderson says, most of us settle into a rather fixed level of awareness and maturity because it is all our world was asking of us 30 years ago. So basically what that means is like I was watching a video of him explaining this. Basically what that means is if we're in a survival flight or fight situation, you know, back in the day when people were hunters and gatherers more often, or if even today, if you're out on a path and you come across a snake or a wild animal that's threatening your life, you need that immediate emotional response because it's a fight or flight, it's a life or death situation. Well, our bodies still have those emotions and those responses. But with our world changing, Dr. Anderson talks about it, that our world is changing and progressing so fast that we really need to keep our emotions and our awareness and our mindset, our mind space, our head space in check so that we don't let our emotions run wild because our lives are so much different now and they're changing. And so it's just about being aware of what that really is. He talks about it's like a fish swimming in water. It has no idea that it's swimming in water, even though its whole life and very existence is determined by that water. We as humans are swimming along in our own river of consciousness, awareness, headspace, thoughts, that kind of thing. We have a tendency to think that everyone else is swimming in the exact same pool and seeing things and feeling things and thinking the same things and seeing the world the same way that we do when it's really not true. And so, what Dr. Anderson talks about is our reality will become clearer and more in depth, and precision and insight will grow. There, he goes on to talk about that there's 4 different levels of this consciousness, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, level 1 is self interest, level 2 is actualized self, level 3 is integrated self, and level 4 is selflessness self. So don't get hung up on what all those terms are or what those terms actually mean, because we're going to go through each one of those steps. And I want to invite Sarah to come on and kind of share about level 1 first, the self-interest level.
Okay, so self-interest level, referring back to the book here, talks about survival, belonging, feeding our self-esteem. And this is where we're looking at life through our own eyes, and everyone else around us tends to be secondary. The book goes on to explain by the time we finish high school, we've learned a skill set that allows us to negotiate our world, much like a cookbook. So in this phase, our orientation is like us against the world. We have a tendency to blame things on either ourselves or someone else. We are very much at this level about our own identity, and many people, unfortunately, are caught in this level and never really work on getting out of it. They become a victim. They tend to never rise above the struggles of everyday life, and unfortunately can be very comfortable at this level, which for anybody who is at this level, you're here today. So don't take any of these things as an insult, because we all have been there. And some of us are still there and working to get out of it. So the book just goes on to ask, are you at this level? And it's letting us know when we are, and if we are, we will then tend to find ourselves below the line a lot, where you're feeling like you don't have enough love, money, friends, like there's a scarcity or like a threat to your security. And you have a tendency sometimes to blame or find fault, and your ego's in charge. So maybe you find yourself wanting to be right all of the time. So a way to progress at this level is knowing where you are and trying to shift back above the line. And that's where we go back to the infamous stop, challenge, choose, which is just an amazing tool. So stop before responding. We recognize that we have possibly slipped below. We become fully aware of our emotions. We can shift our consciousness back to our thinking brain and challenge what you're feeling. So that's the challenge. So stop, challenge, and then choose to shift back of the state of being open, curious, and willing to learn, and taking some deep breaths. That's helped me a few times. reading these elements and learning some of these things have been like, oh, okay, I don't have to react that way. Give me a minute to gather myself. So moving on to level 2, our actualized self. I'm going to just jump down real quick because this just stood out to me so much. This sentence right here on page 486, discomfort is the price of a meaningful life. It means you will have to get out of your comfort zone in order to grow and learn. So at this level, the actualized self, we are taking responsibility for our own lives. We make the conscious decision that we are in charge of our lives. Once we take this position, we start growing, everything becomes possible. And at this level, you can define what you want and you can move toward making that want a reality, which is amazing. Also, in terms of level 2, actualized self, this level of development will be fun and exciting. You can expand your consciousness beyond that of most others. And what this actually means, as far as actualized self, it's just making the choice to be open, curious, to be focused on learning, to be growth-centered, to be open to feedback. Sorry, there's a siren. Sorry, guys. Open to feedback, to be action-based, and to not be so closed off and defensive and being committed to being right. We all have things to learn, and we'll continue learning and growing. Even though I was listening, Julie sent me the same video from Dr. A, and listening to that video, what I picked up most out of it was that even though we're aging chronologically, our minds, I can't think of his exact wording, but we're still, yes, we're aging chronologically, but if we're learning and growing every day in our minds, we don't have to just, get older and be so stiff and set in our ways. I'm here with my parents on vacation, and my mother-in-law lives with us, and I'm even seeing them, becoming more open-minded and seeing how possible it is to make small changes and how they can add up pretty quickly in a short amount of time. So I'm going to give it back to Julie. She's going to discuss the next 2 levels.
I love that, Sarah. So I don't know about you guys, but when I started before I started program, I was definitely a level oneer. Anybody else out there? Level oneers, right? So I was that one that was stuck in that thought process of everything else was out of my control. Essentially, that's kind of like where level 1 is, right? I was I was 53 pounds overweight, and I blamed it on the fact that I had children. And I blamed it on the fact that I was, a certain age, or, so and so wouldn't do this, and this was that. It was that blame game of it's out of my control, level 1 thinking. But when we move out of that, I think a lot of us actually even start getting into the level 2 just by being coming on this program, because we're starting to be like, okay, we can take a little bit of responsibility for where we are in our life, where we are in our health and our well-being. Okay, maybe I can take a step to help things. I'm not going to just sit here and blame it on, well, this happened in my health journey, or this was because of this, or whatever our blame game is. When we make that decision to come on program, we are being open and curious and starting to learn and looking for growth. And so I think that it's amazing how so simply and so quickly it doesn't have to be a huge long process to move from different levels. It can be a blink of an eye. So if you are a level oneer, hey, I was there. I was there, and I love that you guys are on this program because it already shows that you're open and you're moving into at least level 2, if not higher than that. In that level 2, there's a lot of a situation will happen. Okay, so life happens, right, to everybody. And, something will come up and we get that choice. So, like Sarah was talking about, the stop, challenge, choose. Something happens, let's stop. And if we don't stop, then we automatically go into that drama triangle. We've talked about the drama triangle in previous elements before, but that's where it's the blame game or the self doubt or the self hatred talk, or we are a victim. We are a villain, or we're the hero of a situation. And it's not about any of that. But if we stop and we challenge and we choose, we could choose to not get into that. We can choose to not go below the line and do the blame game and the self bad talk and all of the negative choices that come along with that, the emotional eating and things like that. So in level 3, it's talking about the integrated self. This level of development requires you to have mastered emotional literacy and to have done the work on the areas you are of your thinking and that you have not served you well. So basically, let's break that down real simple. Okay, so to master emotional literacy and work on the thoughts that haven't served you well, that could kind of sound a little overwhelming or maybe not quite applicable or applicable to our current situation. So, say for instance, thoughts that don't serve you well, that negative self-talk of I can't do this, I'm going to fail, this is not something that I can do, or maybe I can't do this on vacation, maybe this lifestyle isn't a lifestyle for me, maybe this lifestyle isn't going to work with 4th of July. But when we stop and we challenge those thoughts and we don't get it below the line, and we can choose to say, okay, there are other people who have gone before me that have done this, that know how to do this. I can reach out to my coach and ask for advice and say, hey, how am I going to handle 4th of July? What are your tips for doing that? And just knowing that you have those resources and that you have that ability, and it's not that you're stuck somewhere. So that's kind of what it's talking about, is that emotional illiteracy is we're not constantly in that drama triangle circle, a triangle circle, a drama triangle circle, that we are actually stopping, we're challenging, and we're choosing different responses. And so that's what the integrated self is. At this level, you're beginning to master both how you operate internally and also how you interact with others and your surroundings in a highly effective way. By the time you've mastered this level, you have completed most of your major developmental work, and you should be resolving any emotional baggage. So at this point, you're not carrying that weight, mental weight of your previous decisions. You're not beating yourself up of the fact that you made a poor choice before. You have eliminated that, you've understood it, you took responsibility for it, and now you're able to move on and learn from those situations. So that's basically what this is talking about here. You're internally flexible, stable, adaptable, and you can you can see only confident and energy in your future. So, looking at our life that way, we can choose to look at the rest of the summer and into the winter and into next year with confidence and excitement that we are building something that is going to create lifelong change in our life. And then that leads us into level 4. So, as we're going along with all of these levels, kind of think of where you're at. Where's your headspace? What are you feeling in your emotions? And there is no judgment, no condemnation for any level, because the main point of this chapter, of these elements, is to become aware of where we are, to make a decision. Are we wanting to move on? And if we are, to take the tools that we're learning so that we can level up. So the fourth level is selflessness self. That tricks me up every time. I can barely say it. At this level, life really has no struggles. We're no longer frustrated or judgmental, and negative emotions are gone from our daily life. We're compassionate at all times. Life is happening through us, and we feel very connected to something bigger than us. This state continues to grow as we develop our spirituality and connect to a higher level of consciousness, either through our religion or our own spirituality. So this is what everybody would ultimately strive for, to be able to have a life where you're not feeling frustrated, you're not feeling stuck, you're not feeling negative and judgmental, and we don't have that negative self-doubt, we don't have the negative self-talk, and that we are able to focus all of our effort and our energy into creating that life that we want. So this is kind of what it looks like. You become the creator of your intrinsic motivation. My coach talks about intrinsic motivation a lot. And basically, what that breaks down to is, on the surface, we can kind of make what our goals are, what our why is, what our why for losing weight is, or taking our health to another level, or achieving ultimate health. And there's like this surface level why that we kind of put on, kind of this mask we put on for everybody that sounds good, but like, if you really dig deep down inside, like, why are you really taking these steps? Is it because, are you wanting to lose this weight? Like, right, like, that's our surface level. We want to lose X amount of weight. Well, but why? Like, deep down, sometimes it's because we want to see our children get married. And if we continue on with the negative path that we've been on, there's a great chance that we might not get there. My coach, Pat, talks about that. He never wanted another man tucking his wife in at night. And so he got control of his health and his well-being so that that won't be an issue. So it's really about kind of digging in. That's what intrinsic motivation is. It's not that surface level, yes, I want to get healthy. It's, okay, but why? Like, what is deep in there of driving you to do that? So you become the creator in your intrinsic motivation, increasing competency and desire to relate and share fuels your progressive ability to accomplish your goals. So if you have your books on page 491, it's this little diagram, and it's got the creator over here, that's us, right? And then it's got this big bubble over here, and that's our creation. So what this level takes us through is, it gives us this understanding and this awareness that we have control. We can create a life that we want, and we can create the health that we want and the vitality that we want, and to be our best selves. I've seen a lot of people, Sarah even post this, that it's new me in 23, or the best me in 23. And we have that ability with these tools, with this support, with this program. And so basically, what this level 4 is talking about is we come to the awareness that we are the creator of our situation and that we can create a new future for ourselves. One of the keys to becoming the dominant force in your life and having a healthy mind is to really organize your life around what matters most to you. So, what you're creating for yourself is not a reflection of who you are, but or who you are, or what you feel, and what you're thinking about yourself. You recognize that all these things don't matter to a life building progress. As demonstrated in the diagram, the one that I was talking about, the smaller creator and then the creation, you are the creator and you are focused individual that is creating something separate and magnificent because you're open, you're curious, and you have a growth mindset. You're not limited by what you or others think of you. So at this level, we're really, that's why it's calling it selflessness, self. We're not focusing on ourselves. We have come to this point that we want to create something, a life outside of ourselves. And what happens as we're going along with this journey, we progress through these levels, and we can actually cause a ripple effect around us. You know, Summer or Sarah kind of alluded to that it's become a ripple effect of consciousness and awareness of the family members that live in her house. They're becoming more open to the idea of ultra health and well-being. So it really becomes a point where we're not focused on ourselves personally, but that we're able to cause that ripple effect, that butterfly effect out to other people and out to those that we love. Um, but it talks about that unfortunately, most people haven't learned to focus on their desired outcome as the organizing principle for all that they're creating, and that the tendency to make it about themselves is as diagram below. So we sometimes we get stuck in this place where we want to start create something, but then we only create it because it comes back on us, because we want somebody to say something nice about us, because it's going to make us feel important. As a result, how they feel, how they act, what they're creating directly speaks about who they are as a person. So at that point, it's we're only creating something because we want it to say something about us, not that it's about other people. At this point, their success or failure is personal, and so people who make what they are creating about them are much more likely to be closed-minded, defensive, and much more likely to always want to be right. And because because it all becomes about how they feel about themselves, they become more hesitant to act without being sure, and as a result, are less successful. So, what's really important about this level is understanding that you know, we've gone from level one where everything was a blame game. We blamed ourselves, we blamed other people, we were stuck in this frustration. It was a survival mode. It was very, very about us, which is a great place to realize that you are, if you are there. Like we said, we've all been there. And then moving to level two, where it's about stop, challenge, and choose, and knowing that we have that ability, we have that choice, and taking responsibility for where we are now. So we recognize where we had been, we realize where we are now, and we take responsibility for that, and we start working towards new situations. So just kind of recapping those four levels, what I love is we're in control. Dr. Anderson talks about it all through this chapter, all through all of these elements. We are in control of our health. We're in control of our well-being, our mental well-being, and our social well-being as well. We have the ability and the tools to level up. We could stop challenge twos. We could take responsibility through the structural tension charts and secondary choices. We can unload our emotional baggage and step out of the drama triangle. We can master our negative thoughts and become the creator of our health and our well being. So I hope that through going through these 4 phases that you are able to kind of take inventory of where you're at in your mental space, evaluate that, realize which category you're in, and start to make a plan of where you want to go, because we never want to be in a stagnant position. If we are stagnant, we're actually going backwards, because we're living, we're growing organisms. We're created that way by our creator. So if we stop and we're no longer progressing, then we're really going back. So realizing where we're at and taking ownership of that and putting a plan into place, which is what all of these wonderful elements do, to move on to another level, takes us into what our lives really can be and really enjoying that well-being. But what she's talking about is page 494 in your book. There are 3 questions on there, and the challenge is we want you to go through those 3 questions on your own, really take some self-inventory. And the challenge is to reach out to your coach this weekend, whenever you have some time, and go through those questions with your coach. And just figure out a plan, talk about those elements. The questions are, what does the element mean to you right now? What does this mean to you right now? Is this something that you are ready to work on? Is this something you want to work on? Is this something that is an interest to you at your current point in this journey? What does the element give you the opportunity to reflect on? And what actions are you going to take as a result of this element? So just share that with your coach and talk about that, and they can help guide you on all of that kind of stuff and make a plan for you. So I think that is really all we had for you guys today. I love this element. It really, really is simple. Don't let the terms kind of confuse you or anything like that. But it's just basically about growing, learning, and developing into the best person that we can ultimately be. That's the whole point of a lifestyle change, right? Is to get to a point where we are the best that we can be. And with these 4 different levels, you can go through them and just evaluate where you're at, understand, take responsibility, and move on with that. All right. Well, you guys have a great weekend. I love you guys, and we'll see you soon.